Hey, I'm Matt, and I'm with Eric this evening of MCHNZ out of Kansas City, and we're on Let's Talk Music. Thank you for joining me and welcome.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So, what do the initials stand for?
Machines. So we I was, we were a band called Awaiting Eli before this, and did some work, before, and Los was in that with my bass player. Los was in that with me, and Blake was in that too, our old drummer. And kind of as the sound was progressing into a different era, like area of what we wanted to do, Awaiting Eli just kind of felt old, and especially the COVID thing really sparked this too, because it seemed like everybody was getting kind of like programmed to stay home and don't go this, and you got curfew and you can't go here, you can't do, and it's like they're just programming us to be machines, man. And so like that stuck out to me, and I was like, well, you're gonna breed a freaking nation full of nutty machines, dude. So it's like, okay, well, machines is good. So a lot of our plays of our sets are on that too. Like when you get to catch us live, our background visuals is like the transformation from a human being kind of killed off from like an alien and machine force and turning into a machine towards the end. It's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I was going to actually mention that Gravity, your new single,
Yeah.
kick-ass song. Um, First off, I want to say it's got a familiar sound to it, like the almost the melodic part of it. It's got a familiar sound, but you guys have your own sound to it, and it just the way that you put it all together is fucking killer. I loved it.
Dude, thank you. We appreciate that, man. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
the video, as what I was mentioning, is kind of futuristic in a way, Matrix almost, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank Tom Flynn for that one, man. He's done quite a few killer videos, Lamb of God and I Prevail and stuff. And we got the chance to holler at him and go out and hang with him in New York and shoot that. And it was that was killer, dude. He had some great ideas, and we're still independent, so we weren't running on a label budget for a video, and coming in there fairly thin. I mean, I say thin, but 5 to 10 grand for a music video isn't a huge budget, and he made some magic happen with that. So he was killer. It was a great time. I appreciate the compliment on that, man.
Well, honestly, I mean, anymore, you don't have to have a huge budget to make a good video.
Yeah.
You know, I've talked to musicians from back in the day that said they spent like 250 grand on a video that I'm like, really? It didn't even look like it was 250 grand.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I mean, you got somebody that can edit and put things together and whatever. I mean, you and some friends can make a great video for, a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the great things now about YouTube. Back in the day, like with, MTV and stuff, you really had to have a big production made for it to be put on TV. And,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great video. I mean, it's very cinematic. It looks like, you guys spent a ton, but
I appreciate that, man. Like I said, we had that idea we wanted to go to New York, take everybody out of their element. I always am a big fan of that. It's like, if you're comfortable, even with recording, like, you talk about the production of the song, like we go down and we record with Chris Dawson. He's, very familiar with a lot of Octane artists, and I've known him for quite a few years. We've done a lot of work with him. Um, and I work on some writing projects with him as well. And it ties that in, and then we're like, okay, well, it's not home. It's not recording at home. We're okay. Well, I'm going to go upstairs and go to bed. It's like, now, like, we're going to get out of the element and get out of what your normal thing is, get in that realm and do your thing. And same thing when we went out to New York, it was actually hilarious because everybody's like, oh yeah, we want to go shoot in Times Square. Little did anybody know what the hell Times Square is like on a Wednesday afternoon at 5 o'clock. And so
right.
and so, like, we flew in there, I think on a Tuesday or something like that, and then landed. It got out. We stayed at Voodoo Studios, Mike's studio out there up in Port Jefferson, I believe is where it's at. They're really cool guys out there. A lot of really great records done there, and we get there, and Tom's like, "All right, time to shoot. Get ready." And we're like, "Okay, sounds good." So we shot all night, and then woke up the next morning, did warehouse shots, and then by the time we got done with that, it's like, okay, let's take the train down, and that's why I told him, I said, I want you to capture this. Like, I want you to capture taking 4 dudes from Kansas or the Midwest, and just going like, there you go, dude. This is what you wanted. Because they asked, we're on the train. They're like, are you sure? Like, are you sure you want to go to Times Square and shoot, dude? Like, you sure you know what this is like? And it's like, yeah, let's go. And so capturing that, because it was the play on it was that, like I said, as we're building this machines kind of idea, as you see in the video, there's a part where when we're hitting Times Square, things are starting to go anti-gravity and shit's just not, pardon my French, but I don't know if I can cuss on here, but it's not working the way it's supposed to work. Things are floating away from, and so like that was kind of like the idea. We had discussed that with Tom. Where it's like, let's just have it be like, oh, cool, it's rolling a lot of performance shots and kind of introduce like that matrixy vibe, and like we're getting kind of brought to life, like in an aspect of, that's kind of what the whole beginning of that video was, is like the machines are getting brought to life, and then they're getting implanted in like a major city, and when they actually hit the city and kind of unite, it just kind of sparks this chaos.
Right.
And so that was that whole storyline. But like that was to see, to I guess get the feedback like that, we really appreciate, because like I said, we work on it and then we see edit after edit after edit, and it's like, yeah, that's, I mean, I going back and looked at it the other day, I'm like, damn, that is good. Like, because I haven't watched it for a while, and I'm like, sweet, like it does look good. So we appreciate that, man, very much.
So you mentioned that you guys, had a former project, Awaiting Eli. It also says that Carlos was from OTEP, and so this is your first release.
Yeah. So, well, this in with machines, the first release was actually Hear Cocaine, that came out in New Year's Eve. It was New Year's Eve. We dropped it on New Year's Eve, and that one did pretty well. It's like a really kind of poppy vibe. We still get to the point in the chorus of putting that rock chorus there, but I've really started introducing these pop elements. So Hear Cocaine came out first, and then Gravity was like that flagship that we're like, okay, we're gonna run a good single push behind Gravity. But I did also adopt over our Heroes and Villains and No Shelter that I released with Awaiting Eli. But I believe in Awaiting Eli's career, that's when I started transforming my writing to a whole different process, and they just fit a lot better with what Machines was. I love those songs; they're great songs, and I love playing them live. People love them, and it's like, I'm not going to bury those, like we're taking them with us. So but yeah, Hear Cocaine was the first one that got released, and then Gravity was our big flagship release, I guess you could say.
Okay. And so you mentioned Octane. Also, I seen that you were featured on Rock Rage Radio.
Yeah.
Which Jake Rage, I've had some online discussions with him. We kind of work in the same, I guess, industry, you would say.
Yeah.
Talking to artists and trying to like get you guys heard and get you guys out there. One of the bands, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, Above Snakes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They have been kicking. We have 99.7 The Blitz is like a big radio station here. It's our rock station. And they have this thing called Choose It or Lose It. And I think it's night 13 or 14 that they're the champions. Tonight's gonna be a tough one though, man. They're going against Disturbed.
Jeez, that's tough.
Yeah.
I love that though, man. Like, we get a chance to go into like a turn it or burn it or whatever it might be. It's like, yeah, man, put on the big dogs, dude. Like, yeah, I want to go against them. Like, because at the end of the day, I mean, there are we grow up with them as influences, whether our music takes shape like theirs or not. They're influences, and I've always heard that term "kill your idols," and it's not a terminology in a matter of fact, but it's make them colleagues, like make right. them, trusted and respected colleagues. Obviously, like that you grew up watching them, or like me, I'm 36 years old, so I, not necessarily grew up watching them, but I did, through all of my sports years, from 6th, 7th, 8th grade on, high school. I mean, Disturbed was huge. I remember listening to it in the locker room playing hockey, dude. You hear, Disturbed in Linkin Park and some Metallica, you're ready to go knock somebody's head off.
Right.
And so like to be on a turn it or burn it or something like that with them is like, it's like, yeah, man, that's what I want to do. That means we're making some headway. So that's killer that they're there, man. That's where they want to be.
And it is. It's like I have friends over at the Blitz, but it's really hard to push, the bands that I talk to, because it's just like they have a program that they have to follow. You know what I mean?
Oh
And
yeah.
now they do have like a local stuff, I think is on Saturdays. There's different ways that they can do it, but it's just been, I've told people, hey, here's an email address, get a hold of them. Obviously something went right with Above Snakes because
Yeah.
they're kicking ass on that. So
Yeah, we got so like that's the thing. I'd have to look at who they're working with, but I know, I don't know if you've heard of Gary J over at Landshark. He's doing all of our heading up our radio promo.
mhm.
We have John Gomez who's actively managing us and kind of guiding us down the path, who's worked with several big acts in the past. Dirty Honey is one of the most recent ones, but
Okay.
he's done a lot of great things for a lot of artists over probably the last 25, 30 years. Killer manager. But then Gary, I've had a relationship with since Heroes and Villains, and he heard Gravity, and he's like, "All right, man, all right, Rocker, let's do this." So that's actually hitting radio stations or going out to a radio push on Friday.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully we'll be getting some spins out there.
It needs to, man. I mean, like I said, it's a great tune, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass because we're talking. I mean,
Yeah.
I really dug it. The everything was just so well put together. I mean, the lyrics, the melodies, even the video, it all fit so well. It
Yeah.
was just, you guys did a great job on it. And speaking of, the song Gravity, you you can tell what it's about by listening to it. But what was your take on it when you was writing it?
So ironically, I wrote that one in a kind of a tougher spot in my marriage. I mean, I was somewhat newly married. I got married in March of 21, St. Patrick's Day in 21, and I wrote that one kind of just in like that. It's that passionate story about the love with somebody, but at the end of the day, it's like a gravity that pulls you back. That's why I also want to do in the video. I want to do the opposite of that too, because it can be sometimes chaotic and things can't sometimes just, like that line, baby, we're on the right track, baby, just bring me right back. It's like, what the hell happened? Like, God, the way that you look at me and the way that you move at me. And honestly, ironically, it's the funniest thing in the world. Every time I sing that song or think about that song, I always think about John Mayer's Gravity, because that song was that same kind of meaning, So as funny and cliche as that is, when I wrote Gravity, I was like, it's like John Mayer's line, but it's just a rock pop version of it, But that's kind of what that's really about. It's about that special someone that you have, that just like that, the way that they can look at you one way and it's just like, fuck, it's over, and it's over, like, man, or the way that like I said, that physical connection with somebody that just is the way it is, and it's above any other physical connection you've had. But then, like I said, you get those times where you just can't communicate, or you can't get through to each other, and like those looks aren't there, that connection's not there, and it's like, what the hell happened to that? Like, we were on the right track, like, somehow bring me back to this,
Right.
So and that's essentially really what that song is about. Like I said, I steered away from writing your typical, like, oh, she hates me, or it's like I steered away from writing that and tried to focus, especially with the machine stuff, was more positivity, at least in a message.
Right.
The final conclusion of the song is it's not a letdown. We're succeeding or getting to something that's better than like, oh, yep, well, that sucks. Okay, that was depressing. Which some of my biggest influences were like Alice in Chains and Stone Temple Pilots. I just, and a lot of my old songwriting catered to that, but it just day and age, it's not the same. It's not the same audience that you're writing to.
Right.
And so while I have a very huge respect for that still going on, I lived that life, a very drug infused life, for a long time, up until September of 2020, and I got those same results. I was writing for that kind of stuff, writing like, oh man, my life sucks, or this is that and that, and it's like, well, duh, dude, it's a playground you're in. So as I kind of switch gears, and I've got kids and I'm married, and I switch things up, I've gotten to a point where not everything's gonna be sunshine and rainbows, because that's just not the world. So I do want it to be reality. But at the end of the day, I use this phrase a lot. Nickelback doesn't write a bunch of songs about depressing crap, and people can hate him all they want, but the dude knows what he's doing.
Oh
He's
yeah.
really good at what he's doing, and I have a very, very huge respect for people who get it like that. Who can just grab a guitar and you got a hit. You have a hit that means something in 30 seconds.
And they had a lot of hits.
Every song's a hit pretty much
Yeah.
for them typically. I mean, they could literally dump an album. And the only other person I would say that's got that, in this time era, in this era, is Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl's got that same kind of concept in
Right.
his songwriting. It's just a different take on it. But there's two like masterminds like that where it's like, okay, cool. Like, how do I make it my sound, but be able to dump out a format and find the frequencies that the casual listener just gravitates to, and then they pay attention to it enough to where they get the message and they're like, okay, cool. And it's not a negative message, it's a good message. It's going to be reality, but it's also overall it's going to be something that's going to bring you and make you feel more positive, and that's what I try to do nowadays.
And I mean, just kind of touching on Nickelback, I never understood the hatred for them. I went and seen them in oh, who was it? Seether
Yeah.
together, and amazing show.
Dude, Chad's killer. I mean, if people actually go give him a chance to go watch a show, the dude's charisma as a front man. There's, as a up and coming, because I've been doing this for a while, but as an up and comer, you watch people and you study. If you don't study, then you're not doing your job right, because you want to study how to be professional and what to do and how to act. And some things you can't teach, but I watch, people like him or William Duvall from Alice in Chains now, or even Jeff, who's filled in for Scott and STP, or Miles from Alter Bridge, and you develop your own personality. And Ollie from Bring the Horizon, you develop your own personality. But watching Nickelback, that's a whole different kind of charisma that it's just like, dude, the guy can sit up there by himself, and like everything goes quiet, where everybody else has like, interludes and stuff going. He's up there with a damn solo cup making a joke about how his guitar tech's drawing pictures in a solo cup at the bottom of a shot and showing it on the big screen and laughing his ass off and getting everybody to laugh. I mean, he was in Omaha. This is when I lived in Omaha. I was born and raised in Omaha. He was in Omaha, and I don't know any other artists that came into Omaha. And he goes, hey, how about Nebraska football? This is when Nebraska football started sucking. From the heydays, they went downhill. And
Right.
then everybody was like, whoa, So he goes, play the song, and then they're like, he goes, as a front man, every once in a while we strike out on something we say, and he goes, I feel like I really struck out last song, before the last song. He goes, so how about this? He goes, man, you guys got Warren Buffett out here, don't you? Everybody's like, yeah, Warren Buffett. And he's like, well, I want to dedicate this next song to you, Warren. Thank you for having us in your town. I like your pants around your feet. I'm like, this dude is it's genius. Like,
Yes.
you can't teach that to somebody. That is just a standard charisma that somebody has on top of an amazing songwriting capability. And you can hate him all you want, but it's killer. It's
And
good.
the drummer is a bad son of a bitch.
Yeah, the whole band's good, man. Like
Yeah.
the whole band's damn
Remember
good.
his drum solo, they had these like organ pipes behind him, and like he would just go and there's flames coming. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't, like I said, I never understood what the hatred was. So as I'm reading here, it says the new single Gravity marks the first official release via Earache Records.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an independent label?
Earache is that's a connection that John put together with us. They are out of the UK, a label over there, and I believe is Al Dawson. There's a couple other guys that work on that team too, but that's a friend of John's. And they have a platform that they basically put together for artists coming out to kind of to see what we can do. They put a little bit of juice behind it and stuff like that. And so we jumped on with them for this release to see how that would work out, kind of as a trial, and see how it would work out, which is done. It's done pretty dang well, So
Right.
we'll see how that kind of develops in the future. Like I said, they definitely they got this one to go out and do its thing, and they've definitely delivered on their word. So that's I told them, I said, we got plenty more. We'll get this one working and rocking, and we got plenty more where that came from. So,
Oh yeah.
but
So
I appreciate everything they've done, man. They've been super accommodating with everything, and it's funny because the time difference is like 8 hours. So like you catch up with them, it'll be like either like real late your time, or it'll be like they're 8 o'clock their time, you're winding down. So it's kind of funny.
oh yeah. I've worked with some bands from overseas, UK, Finland, Germany, Switzerland. Just, and it's usually always on a Saturday or Sunday. It's about 11 o'clock or noon here. It's 6 to 8 there.
Yep.
uh I mean, their metal scene over there is just kicking ass too. So I mean,
Miller, that's why they wanted to do it. That's why John was like, I think this might be a good fit because he goes, what you guys are doing is it pays our influences, as you can probably tell in the music, like Bring Me the Horizon, Nothing More, bands like
yeah,
that are doing this kind of style right now. Sleep Token's one of them, that we really enjoy listening to. North Lane. But yeah, I mean, as I sit back and watch these live shows, man, they're just crushing overseas. Not to throw anything on the festivals here, but like just the attendance and the way the audiences are getting into the shows, and it just watching and studying that stuff. I'm just like, okay, cool, man. Because ultimately, it's his, it's like his job. It's like, you put us where it's going to make sense.
right.
At the end of the day, because that's we're willing to go wherever it's going to make sense, and we're gonna turn heads.
Well, and I mean, that's honestly, that's where the festivals have always like really just exploded, is
Mm-hmm.
overseas. I mean, you got whacking open air.
Mm-hmm.
I remember wasn't too long ago. I posted on my Facebook. It was Iron Maiden performing Wasted Years, and
Yeah.
the show in Brazil, and they played to 350,000 people. I mean, they show it's a sea of people, man. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine that. And, South America loves their freaking metal.
Oh yeah.
So you got like, I'd say at least 300, 250,000 people of that crowd singing with them. And I'm
Yep.
like, I would probably just pass out. I
Yeah.
mean,
It'd be one of those moments where you're just like, wow, you'd have to take it in,
right. I mean, I get goosebumps talking about it, man. I could imagine being on that stage and doing that.
Yeah, that's definitely a dream that we all have, like I said. And then at the end of the day, it's like when you're up there, if that happens, it's like you can't look like a dick. You gotta like do what you're up there to do, like take it in, but then also do what you're up there to do. That's like I said, I watch a lot of those to study, like to just see, what the like not necessarily competition, but just how people carry themselves, and how that goes, and what we need to hold ourselves to for a standard of performance, and how everything goes. So yeah, I've watched a lot of those, but that those seas of people, you're like, even that go watching like that 99 Woodstock stuff too. That was even like I remember watching like Limp Bizkit set, and you're just like, man. Like I remember having several conversations with Peter Klepp, who was in Candlebox. I've known him for quite some time, and he was always like, it ain't the '90s no more, dude.
Yeah,
Not,
I mean, dude, I mean, honestly, you're on the right path. Your studying's paying off, because I mean, here you are, getting ready to do rehearsals. You just flew your new drummer in, and you're taking time to talk to me. And I'm not a big media outlet. I do this mainly as a hobby. I try to promote musicians the best I can with the connections that I have. But I'm nothing big. You know what I mean? And you're carrying yourself very well here. And I feel like your stage presence would be exactly the same.
yeah,
So I mean, I feel like
that's good. The drummer out there is like, he says, yeah, just as shitty. Just as shitty as you are right now.
yeah, but I do. I feel like that's one of the biggest steps, man. Is talking to your fans, talking to the little people, giving people a chance just to know who you are and what you're about.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that you're so like, oh well, I ain't got fucking time for you or whatever. I mean,
I'll
that
never be that guy, dude. I'll never be that guy. I've booked a lot of shows in my time too, and I ain't got time for any of that shit. I've dealt with a lot of artists who are very entitled, and it's like, you can take that shit and go, dude. And
right.
there ain't no room for that. I don't think. I mean, I know everybody has their day. It might not be your day. You don't want to be bugged. You don't want to be bugged when you're out with your girlfriend or your wife or your kids. I get it. I understand that.
Me
But
too.
to just be a pain in the butt to work with on every single night, every show that you book because you're pissed off you're not in arenas anymore. and I'm not going to say who I'm talking about, but I can guarantee he probably knows who I'm talking about. But I booked him, and it's like, dude, where's your entitlement, man? He played on a tour with Nickelback, and it's like, man, why come into a venue and just make everybody's day crappy, treat everybody like crap? It just doesn't make any sense. I'll never work with you again.
Right.
I'll never do a tour with you. I don't want to do a tour with you. I don't want to be any part of that negativity. There's nothing that could come positive from that. Everybody's just going to be on edge and like, ooh, don't walk on eggshells around this. It's like, that's just, I've never gotten it, dude. I've never gotten, it's like, you're blessed to be in this position. You want to complain and bitch about it?
And you could not use a better word, blessed. You really
Blessed.
you really are, because not everybody can do this.
No, it's a talent, man. It's a
It
skill. You have to work at it. Like once you realize you have the talent, you got to hone your skill. It's just like anything else. I do
right.
this shit every single night. I write a song a night most of the times. It's like I write and write and write and record and do things, and I work at it so obsessively. My wife's just like, "Gee, many Christmas, dude." But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, if you want to be on top of in the top echelon of your craft, that's what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you're blessed that you even got the ears to hear if it sounds good or not, or to pick out certain things. You're blessed that you got the voice or the hands to be able to do what you're doing, or the feet if you're a drummer. Like
Right.
to take that and be entitled with it, especially when your career's plummeting, that's probably why your career's plummeting. Like it's because you handle yourself like that. So that's the thing is I'll never, I mean, you can mark my words, man, no matter where we go, I will always be this guy. That's who I'm always gonna be.
Well, that's good. That's good, man. Stay humble. That's
Oh, 110%.
hell yeah. So what we've got here is we got Eric, we got Nick, and we got Carlos. And when I looked at the press release here, there is no name of a drummer. So the new guy, what's his name?
Yeah, so we had obviously Blake that was with us for Awaiting Eli, and he was filling in for us on the last few shows to basically kind of get us through, I guess, our last show and get us through that stuff. And I had ironically, I mean, probably for 2017 or 18, I had come across Garrett. Garrett DeWald. He was in Dead Horse Trauma and quite a few other projects. He's done a lot of work in the music industry, and he's from Indianapolis, or out in that area. And I had seen him back in like 2017 or 2018 with Dead Horse Trauma at the time, and I remember watching him and being like, dude, his energy and the way he was behind the kit, the way his kit sounded, how he was, I was like, man, if I ever need a drummer, that's someone to call.
Mm-hmm.
And I never needed a drummer, and he had eventually moved on to other things, and it got to a point where I don't know 3-4 months ago, something like that. I don't even, one was probably somewhere in there. I hit him up. I'm like, we're gonna have to make a change. And I don't want somebody just getting transplanted into our band by a team. We get signed. Sometimes they're just like, oh, we got a drummer. You're gonna have this guy.
Yeah.
And so I sent him some tracks, and he started to dig the music a lot, and then just was like, yeah, I'm in. So he's out here, and we're getting ready to hit our first rehearsals. He's been getting after it though, so I know it's gonna work like glue. So at the end of the day, I'm pretty stoked about that. But it's funny just how that kind of came to fruition. 6 years later or so, something like that. It's like, oh, here you are now. I said back then, man, I like how that dude drums, and now you're my drummer 6 years later.
All right. So what's in the future, man? I mean, any shows planned? Any festivals that you guys are going to be attending? Maybe what's the next single going to be called?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're playing Des Moines. I don't know if you heard of Widow Seven.
Yes.
They're pretty killer band. Actually, it's funny because those Dead Horse Trauma guys, those guys were in Dead Horse Trauma, and now I've got their old drummer.
Oh shit.
And so on Garrett's birthday, we're going to Des Moines on Saturday to play with them. It's their CD release out there at a venue called XBK Live. So we're gonna go out there and murder that venue with them, and then oh, upstairs, go grab it from my wife. He's like, where's the toilet paper?
Oh, nice.
So we're going out to play Des Moines on Saturday. So that's what we're getting kind of everybody together now, since we got a new guy coming in and getting that stuff rolling. And then we were slated to play, was it June 16th? Rock on the River in Oklahoma.
Mhm.
We're on that bill too. And then John's working on putting together. We'll probably be catching on to some kind of tour here soon. There's a lot of stuff in the works that I think will, just got to make sense as far as, where we're going to go. But I have a feeling, like I said, we're going to look at trying to pick up something like with any, like a Nothing More or something like that. Kind of something that just makes sense with our style. But I mean, that's as of right now, that's kind of what we got working. The next single, if I was to guess, it's probably going to be Chemicals.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be chemical, and that video will be shot in Vegas, and it's gonna be a nut. It's gonna be nutty.
Oh yeah. Now, are you guys just releasing singles, or do you have an EP that's coming out, or how's that working?
I think we're gonna probably take that same format of what everybody's been kind of doing. We'll give them like 4 or 5 songs, and then give you another 3 or 4 on an album and call it an album. Like you get 4 or 5 singles. You know how it is with like the DSPs and stuff nowadays. So the algorithms and stuff, they want you to be releasing every 60 days. And so for a lot of bands, it's hard. Or if they're buying songs, it's one thing. But if you're recording songs, like I record probably if I'm in a writing mode, I have to shut myself off of writing mode to rehearse, because I'll hear stuff and I'll write pretty much a song in a night. And then I'll move on to another song. The next day I'll write something else. If something doesn't gel within a half hour, I save it as a dumb title and move on. And so with that, we have the ammo to keep up with what their demand is on the DSPs. But I would imagine that we'll probably put Chemicals out, and that will probably be it for singles, because we have Heroes out, No Shelter's been out. Even those were released in Awaiting Eli. Then we got Here Cocaine, Gravity, and then we'll probably give them Chemicals. And there's a couple other songs, like 3 or 4 more songs that'll be on that album.
Okay.
I'm running that album, and I already have a whole other album done pretty much. And then I already have songs written for another backup after that one. So,
oh wow,
yeah. So I mean, I've got, I don't know, 70, 80 songs written on this computer here that I've had for a year or two. So it's like I said, and that's probably, I put in light numbers on. I have a computer upstairs that's broke that I need to be able to get the hard drive and get all those old songs off it. The recordings probably sound like shit, but I could at least get the song formats off it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, one thing when I'm writing, I'm continually thinking about evolving the sound and taking what we've got now and making it better and making it better and making it better and utilizing more and more of what we're doing, but in just more and more of a shocking and futuristic way, if you will, but still following and paying homage. Because like I said, I mean, Here Cocaine, there's parts in it where I took a lot of influence from like Adam Levine and Maroon 5. And it's just, I wanted it to be that way though, because it's like, I can ride a rock chorus all day long. It's like, I want those elements of the dynamics of the song to where they peak up like a pop song does. You peak up and then you drop off and you bring it back down to the drop down. You peak back up. And so that's how I've kind of structured these in like a pop and rock format. So I would think that Chemicals will probably be the last one that we dump off this, and then it'll come out in probably an album form with those out, and then about 3 or 4. I think it's 4 other songs that only people can hear those songs live right now. We're playing them live. I'm playing stuff from the next album. I'm playing Holy Water. Holy Water is probably going to be one of the biggest singles we got. I'm playing that song, and that's slated for probably the first single off the next album.
Do you have a recording of it?
I got a demo of it. Yeah. I have a demo I made.
Man, I'll keep it private.
Yeah. I will. I will for sure. I'll send it over to you so you can hear it. That song's killer. That's my. I don't know. Remember Rihanna made a video on the checkerboard floor, the Illuminati video.
Right.
Holy Water is my Illuminati video. It's Holy Water. It's a blood sacrifice, but it sounds like Vertical Horizon. It's weird. The catering of the musical instruments in it and the patterns that it runs seem very positive, but the wording in it's like eerie and dark.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah. Send it to Shauna. She'll send it to me or whatever.
Yeah.
My email is real easy. It's rockmusic, the letter N, more.com. So
rock music and more.
Yes, rockmusic and more at gmail.com. It's the letter N.
Yeah. I got you. I'm writing you down right now. I'll send that over to you when I'm on my way down to rehearsal. You can jam it. You'll see what I'm talking about, man. It's probably one of my favorite songs. When we play it live, and it's just, I cannot help but just get like overwhelmed with like just angst in that song. Like I feel energy in all the songs, but that one for some reason it's like just like a whole different thing comes over me.
Mm-hmm.
And I, like I said, I don't know why yet, because it's still a really new song. I mean, I put it in rotation. We played it after I wrote it like a week and a half before we played it. I
Okay.
was like, by the way, we're going to play this song. So we played it on March 4th. So I wrote that probably February, third week of February.
Mm-hmm.
And we played it March 4th because I was like, we have to play this song. Like everybody just learn it. It's super easy. It's not hard, but I'm telling you, this song is just, and it went over well. Like we have a pretty sick visual for the background of it too, man. Where it's just like the stained glass church windows with like demon, like not necessarily demon, but like hooded
Figures.
figures, like yeah, seancing kind of shit. It's pretty
Right.
gnarly, dude. It's a dark, weird, but you'll get what I'm saying when you hear it. You'll be like, dude, that does sound like Vertical Horizon, but like with a whole different meaning.
Right. Oh yeah. All right, Eric. Well, we're about out of time, man.
Yeah,
I really love talking to you. It was great. You know, keep doing what you're doing. You guys are freaking rocking. Like I said, I really wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't outright tell you suck, but I wouldn't blow smoke up your ass and say "Me and Gravity" is a fucking awesome song, and when it's not, because it really is. I loved it,
I appreciate that, man. Thank
and
you very much.
you guys just man keep doing you, and like I said, stay humble, and man, I hope you guys skyrocket.
That's what we're shooting for, man. I always joke with people. It's like we're either going to skyrocket or they're going to kill me out of this shit because I ain't going nowhere.
Oh yeah, man! It'd be great to see you out here in Columbus, man. You guys get on a tour or something. If you make your way out here, maybe we'll set something up live.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. I'll always be that guy, man. If I'm in your town, we're catching up somehow, whether we get lunch or whatever, dude. Shooting interview, whatever we want to do. I'm always gonna be that guy, dude. Yeah, so 110%.
All right, brother. Well, have fun at rehearsal tonight, and have a good evening.
You too, brother. Thank you so much for the time and bringing me on, man. I appreciate it very much, dude. And the whole Machines camp, thanks you.
No problem, man. Have a good one.
All right, man. You too. Take care, dude.
All right.